Hey guys, so it occurred to me that I refer to a lot of leftists as being mentally ill, and which is true. The problem is that it's kind of hard to classify a mental illness like people like Hasan, Piker, and Destiny have. Well, Hasan Piker has psychopathy, but there's a very strange phenomenon that's been noticed among leftists. Now, there's a study that was done, and I can't quote the source off the top of my head, but basically the study was to determine who people feel empathy for. And they would rate people and then show the data using circles. So say you felt empathy for your family. The family circle would be the biggest. Now, they rated your amount of empathy for a different group of people or object from people who are most closely related to you to things that are as far removed from you as possible. So they asked people how much empathy they felt for their family, then how much empathy they felt for their friends, then how much empathy they felt for their acquaintances, their co-workers, then from people in their neighborhood or people in their city, and then people in their country, and then people of other countries, and then it got ridiculous. It got so far removed that the questions were, how much empathy do you feel for asteroids? Because asteroids could have the potential to spread amino acids, which could eventually become life. So they asked people these questions, and then also asked what their politics are, whether they consider themselves a Democrat, a Republican, left, right, whatever. And what they found is that Republicans or people who are on the right felt a lot of empathy mostly for their family, for people that they directly associate with. And then they asked leftists the same questions, and they found that leftists felt more empathy for people they have never met than for the people that they know personally. In fact, many of them felt more empathy for the asteroid than their immediate family. Now, there's a lot of jokes that go around that all of them have terrible fathers or absent fathers or abusive mothers. But not all of them do. After all, a lot of people actually have, on the left, had good families. Although what constitutes a good family depends on person to person. And it's just so bizarre to me that these people really feel like they have more emotional attachment to people they have never met in a foreign country than they do with the people that raised them. And even if you have a terrible family, you would think that they would have more empathy for the friends they met along the way. People that they actually got along with better than their own flesh and blood. Because let's face it, blood is not always thicker than water. And also, that expression doesn't mean what people think it does. What that expression actually means is the blood of the covenant is stronger than the water of the womb, which means the blood shed in battle with fellow warriors is thicker than the bonds of family. That those that you fought and die with mean more to you than people who have never seen war. The bonds of brotherhood are stronger than family. And you would think the same thing would be true for leftists. You would think that the family they found, the friends they discovered, the people that they told all their secrets to would mean more to them than someone in Palestine, for example. And we find that that's not the case. And that's why you'll see guys like Hasan, Piker, and Destiny, who used to be good friends, get into huge fights and become the worst of enemies. Or how like Ethan Klein and iDubbbz became the worst of enemies. Now, to be fair to Ethan, he's not as bad as the rest of them. And even he's like, this stuff going on with iDubbbz is just so stupid. Like, he's like, we used to like hang out at each other's houses. Like, he came halfway across the country just to like, just so I can invite him over to dinner and vice versa. Like, I introduced him to my children. But iDubbbz doesn't care. He has more empathy for people halfway across the world than he does for his own friends and family. Now, there's something to be said about feeling empathy for other cultures, other peoples. Like, for example, I feel empathy for the Uyghur Muslims who are currently being worked to death in Chinese, like, labor camps. Like, that's horrible. I hate that. And if I could, I would help those people. There's not much you can do about it, though. But do I feel more empathy for them than I do for my own mother? Probably not, because I know my mother. I know, like, her issues. Like, I personally talk to her on a daily basis. Like, it's nothing against the Uyghurs. It's just that I know my mother. I don't know what kind of people the Uyghurs are. As a whole, I feel bad about the whole situation, and I want them to get out of there to find a people and a culture, a country that will accept them for who they are, as long as, you know, they don't engage in criminal or terroristic activity. I'm sure there's a lot of bad Uyghurs out there, but the culture as a whole, there's a lot of good people within the culture, I'm sure. And they don't deserve what's happening to them. But if you ask a guy like Destiny or Hasan Piker, they would sacrifice their own fathers on an altar if it meant saving people they have never met before. And that sounds like a noble thing until you have Hasan Piker bring on an actual, legitimate, confirmed terrorist onto his program and then claim that that guy is the modern day, real life Luffy from One Piece. Like an actual, no shit, tortures people for a living terrorist. And then Hasan Piker praises this guy while sending money to terrorist organizations, allegedly. There's a certain level of empathy where you just go into a case of full-on delusion. And that's what a lot of leftists are. They're delusional. They believe that they're morally superior to everyone else because they worry about the little guy halfway across the world. And they don't care about the belief structure of those people. Like, for instance, there were studies done in Palestine asking if it's okay for, like, Jewish people to exist. And they just say, no, every Jewish person throughout the world should be killed. And like 80% of them say that. Now, you could say that a lot of people just say that, and they don't actually mean it. Or they're ignorant because the government kept them in ignorance. And they just assume that all Jews are just like the Israelis. And maybe they just say that because they think that the question is a trap, and that if it's revealed that they have any amount of sympathy for Jewish people, that they're worried that they'll be killed. That's a possibility. But it's such a high percentage of people that say that all Jews should die in Palestine that you can assume that at the very least a majority of Palestinians would push a button if it meant that it would kill every single Jewish person in the world. Like, they would be willing to commit genocide. Then you get into the idea that, like, a genocide is being conducted on the Palestinian people. And one piece of evidence these guys used was that Greta Thunberg, the climate activist, the former climate activist, got on a boat with a bunch of supplies and wanted to deliver it directly to the Palestinians. And they didn't, and they knew that they were going to get stopped by Israel. Because, duh, Israel is going to make sure to check that those supplies to make sure there's no, like, chemical, like, weapons or armaments or bullets or anything else in there that will be used to kill more people of Israel. And at the same time, the government of Israel doesn't want random civilians walking into a war zone and being taken hostage or used as leverage against Israel to make them look bad. And they don't want people to, like, join up with the Palestinians as, like, soldiers. And when Israel rightfully stopped these people and pointed out that they've been sending food to Palestine for months already, they tried to make this into a huge deal, like Israel is committing a genocide, this is 100% proof of it. Anyone with a lick of sense just shook their head and was like, why is the climate activist talking about, like, social issues now? I could talk about Greta Thunberg and how, you know, it's obvious that she seems, allegedly, she seems to have fetal alcohol syndrome based on the shape of her face and how, like, if you look up the symptoms of fetal alcohol syndrome, Greta Thunberg has all the markers for it. And she was, like, pulled out of school and interviewed by a leftist organization that was looking for their perfect puppet to use. They wanted some kid somewhere to come out and speak out against climate change. So they interviewed a bunch of children to see which one of them was radical enough and pliable enough to be used as a puppet to talk about climate, despite them having, like, no knowledge about, like, climate change and how it, like, it seems like every single decade they come out with a new thing that it's like, oh, the ozone layer will be destroyed by then, oh, the ice caps will be destroyed by now, like, all the, like, we'll have, like, 10 meters of sea rise by this year, and every single prediction turns out to be false for one reason or another. And then there was, like, Greta Thunberg went to a climate conference in, like, Germany or something. And then a journalist comes by asking, like, real questions, like, why did you take a private jet? Like, don't you think that you are, like, polluting the environment by doing that? Like, you're not that important. Like, you can go on a commercial airline. You might have some people talk to you, but you're not going to have violence, like, committed against you. You're just, like, somebody people don't really care about. So why are you using private jets and private yachts to get to the climate summit when you could just take a commercial airline? Like, no one's going to bother you on a commercial airline. Like, no one really cares about you. And then her handlers, like, pull her away from the reporter and don't let her answer any questions. It really makes you wonder, like, what exactly is going on with all this crap. And it's just so interesting to me that these people have some kind of, like, mental illness where they would sell their own friends and family down the river to protect people that they have no understanding about, that they have never met, that they don't have any connection with whatsoever. Again, if Hasan Piker, like, could give up his uncle Cenk Uygur in order to save, like, people in the Middle East, he would do it in a heartbeat. Especially if the people he's saving are terrorists. It's just insane to me that these people are so broken like that. And it's just, I don't get it. But, yeah, people like that, they have some kind of, like, issues. And that's why I say they're mentally ill. Because they come out in support of a cause that they don't understand, on a people that they're ignorant about, to defend an organization that has caused great harm and devastation and killed many people, all for, like, some kind of social justice bonus points that they can get on their streams. It's bizarre. And again, I don't know what kind of mental illness that these people would be diagnosed with. Psychopathy for sure. But there's got to be something else going on in their heads. And again, it could be something as simple as, like, daddy issues. Like, they just think that daddy didn't hug them enough. I don't know, man. There's something going on there, and it needs to be studied. Same with the people that have, like, TDS. But anyways, that's all I gotta say on that subject for now. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.